America. It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Welcome to another Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We've got another great show coming up for you. Jennifer Stahl with Northwest Fishing Guides out of Everett joins us at the end of the show to preview the upcoming Columbia River Springer season that's kicking off right now. She'll tell you where they expect the fishing to be best this month and how you can get in on it. At the bottom of the hour, Tom Burlingame is back with XL Fishing Charters to talk about what's coming up after the Marine Area 5 fishery that ends April 30th. But before we get there, we need to tell you what's hot and what's not this week in the Pacific Northwest. Salmon fishing has been picking up in the North Sound for blackmouth. Creel checkers found anglers were coming back to the ramps at Anacortes, Port Townsend, and Bellingham on Saturday with a salmon each on average. And boats checking in at Friday Harbor were averaging closer to 2 blackmouth per angler. That is some good news. If you're fishing Lake Sammamish between Redmond and Issaquah and reel in what appears to be a coho salmon with a clipped adipose fin, guess what? You can now keep it. You see, some of the hatchery coho, just like what you see with a certain percentage of hatchery steelhead, decide not to go to the ocean and instead live out their lives in the local waters in the area they were reared in. Enough coho have done this in Lake Sammamish so that you can now fish for them through May 31st. The minimum size is 12 inches. These hatchery coho do count towards your daily trout limit on the lake. On the Cowlitz River, things are finally starting to improve. WDFW Creel Checkers last week reported 130 bank anglers kept 3 adult spring chinook, 19 steelhead, and released another 3 steelies. 115 boat anglers kept 2 adult spring chinook and 41 steelhead. Fish are being caught throughout the river with the trout hatchery area best for steelhead, especially for boat anglers. Over on the Olympic Peninsula, Creel Checkers found a good number of folks fishing for steelhead from the bank and from boats, but results were mixed. Things were tough on the Bogachiel, Ho, and Quileute with not many fish caught, but on the Sole Duck and the Kalawa, things were different with anglers averaging close to a caught and released steelhead apiece. And heading to the beaches of southwest Washington, there's a couple digs taking place this weekend. You can dig this morning, 10:40 a.m. at Mock Rocks. That's low tide. And tomorrow, low tide is at 11:39 a.m. And you can dig at Copalis. As for upcoming events, don't forget that Sportsman Show coming up this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds in Monroe. Tickets are only $6 for adults, and I'm looking forward to checking out what they've got there. Finally, don't forget, it being the 1st of April, it's not only April Fool's Day, it's your 2017 fishing license day, too, in Washington. That's right. Your license from last year is officially expired, and if you haven't done so already, now's the time to renew. It's also a good time to get that Discover Pass if you go into our state parks here in Washington, and that U.S. Forest Service Rec Pass if you are inclined to as well.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabicraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabicraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy-gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabicraft.com.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and XL Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done.
Fish on!
Need a place to stay? XL Fishing Charters can help you with that too, because they also operate the Inn at Nia Bay. Find out more about fishing with XL Fishing Charters at excelfishingcharters.com. That's EXCEL fishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
We start off this week's broadcast by sharing some good news and some bad news from the firearms industry. The good news is that with the election of Donald Trump, a Republican majority House and Senate, and the inevitable selection of a conservative Supreme Court justice, your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, at least on the federal level, is a pretty safe bet over the next 4 years. The bad news is this. President Barack Obama and his often talked about actions to curb firearms ownership made him, far and away, the best salesman the firearms industry has seen in decades. With President Obama gone, though, the appetite to stockpile these weapons by existing and prospective gun owners, many of whom were motivated by the thought of, I better buy one now before I can't buy one at all, well, let's just say that appetite has diminished. This has led to a decrease in demand in sales and, in turn, has led to layoffs at well-known companies like Remington Arms and Colt, the makers of the iconic Colt 45 1911 pistol carried by generations of GIs, cops, and firearms enthusiasts. How bad is it going to get? I suspect the industry will be okay and that this is a normal constriction based on a new political reality. But it does hurt to see people in this industry suffer the loss of some good-paying jobs. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to what industry leaders have to say about the state of firearms ownership and production at the annual NRA convention coming up later this month in Atlanta, Georgia. I suspect we'll hear some insightful thoughts about this topic. Turning our attention to this week's show, we've got spring fishing and hunting, as well as summer and fall destinations waiting for you. Our first interview this week will be with Steve Adams with Bass Angler HQ. He's going to help us figure out how to catch those springtime bass during the pre-spawn, a time of year that can be a tough riddle for many anglers, myself included, to decipher at times. After that, Diane Borgman with Homer Ocean Charters is going to join us and invite you to a true Alaska adventure. Daily and multi-day salmon and halibut fishing? Check. Vessel-based hunting for bear or Sitka black-tailed deer? Check. Kayaking, hiking, and wildlife watching while staying in your very own rental cabin? Also, check. You are definitely going to want to hear more about all of this. If a sunnier vacation is more appealing, especially one with a family, consider a trip to Collins Lake Resort in the foothills of Sacramento, California. When you get there, you'll find great fishing for trout, bass, and all sorts of fun on the water, as well as opportunities to explore and enjoy some other really unique adventures in the immediate vicinity. We'll shift gears from California lake fishing and fun to outdoors news as we share with you the winner of last weekend's Big Geico Bassmaster Classic. We'll also tell you who's been crowned this year's World Elk Calling Champion by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and share a unique story about a woman who is blaming an unlikely culprit for the car accident she got into. Want a hint? She'll tell you it's not her fault, it's Bigfoot's fault. But before we share that Sasquatch story and everything else we've got in store for you this week, let's talk bass fishing. It's springtime, and that means a lot of folks are out there going bass fishing, and we thought we would talk to somebody who knows all about bass fishing to help you get more bass into the boat. His name is Steve Adams. He's the founder of Bass Angler Headquarters. He's got a great website, bassanglerhq.com. Steve, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Steve, let's talk about spring fishing. Now, once the bass start spawning here in the United States, it's easy for everybody. Everyone knows that catching those spawning largemouth bass is an easy thing to do. But when it comes to pre-spawn, when they haven't moved into the shallows yet, I don't know about you, but that tends to be a frustrating time for me. Let's go over a couple techniques that you like to do to get fish in the boat before those fish are moving into the shallows.
Sure, absolutely. And as you probably know, it certainly depends on where you might live in the U.S. I originally am from Southern California, San Diego, and then spent quite a bit of time in Northern California. And even those two were very different as far as seasonal fishing is concerned. Now I live up in what would be considered the Pacific Northwest, which is actually I live near Idaho. So it's very different up here. So I've definitely had to learn to adjust and try different things. But springtime pre-spawn is always a good time.
So what are some of the commonalities when it comes to fishing for pre-spawn bass in terms of techniques you like to use? Are you drop shotting? Are you using cranks, jigs? What do you like to do?
No, I typically like to search out let's just call them easy targets, the active fish. I want to go after some active fish first, and that's usually a good way to possibly establish some sort of a pattern or see what the fish might be doing, where they might be moving. I would go to targeted areas that would be, you might consider pre-spawn, which some guys call like a staging area, coming in and out of a bay, coming in and out of a spawning area, a known spawning area. And I'm going to target those areas with what I would consider to be, fast-moving baits, search baits, a shallow square bill, possibly even a jerk bait, just coming out of wintertime, or a chatter bait, moving baits like that, or even a spinner bait.
Interesting. And that kind of goes against the grain from what I've always been taught. I've always been told that when it's colder water, you want colder presentation. So, for example, I've used spinnerbaits in the spring, but I've always kind of slow rolled them and had varied success doing that. You're suggesting doing some faster retrieves to trigger more aggressive strikes?
Well, not necessarily fast retrieves. You mentioned some things, and that's something I forgot to mention. Absolutely love fishing a spinnerbait. I'll fish them year round because I love fishing spinnerbait. Certainly there's better times of year than others. Typical cast out, retrieve it in, get bit. It wasn't until I moved to Northern California that I actually was exposed to, taught, and learned to fall in love with this wintertime reaction bait fish, and that was on Lake Oroville and Lake Shasta, lakes like that, where I was taking out with friends, and we fished deep diving crankbaits and heavy spinnerbaits. I'm talking 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce, and like you said, literally slow rolling them on the bottom, and that's literally dragging them on the bottom and catching fish like that. Obviously, the jerk bait, that's a little bit different. You're not dragging on the bottom, but either one of those baits to me, whether it be a deep diving crankbait, a heavy spinnerbait, or maybe even up shallow or deep with a rip bait, I'm still targeting what I would consider the easier, more active fish that are willing to bite. I mean, you may see fish on your graph, but that doesn't always mean they're willing to bite. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So let's change it up a little bit and move from largemouth bass to smallmouth bass. Are you doing anything different for the bronzebacks than you would be for the largemouth?
Yes, absolutely. Especially up here in the northern part of the United States. I can't speak for the rest of the United States, but over here it's definitely been different and a learning curve for myself. Some of the lakes, smaller lakes and bodies of water up here are frozen throughout the winter, so I wasn't even able to fish those. But I fished some of them coming right out of that freeze, and it's definitely a different presentation. It's much slower, like you might say, a finesse type. And at that point in time, some of my key baits are your really small, like swim baits. Depending on the feed that might be in that lake, the bait fish or crawdads or whatever it might be, that would determine the color I would use. But your typical, your smaller Kitech type, 4-inch or smaller, ball head type jig head, slow rolled on the bottom.
All right. We are starting to run out of time, but before we go, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your website, what they're going to find there at bassanglerhq.com.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. We try to be a little bit different than some of the other publications out there. We provide angler services, angler websites, resumes, quarterly reports, video, and photography. And I certainly share with the anglers that we're working with what I can as far as how they might become competitive tournament fishermen if that's their desire. On the other side is that we also publish content, and what we wanted to do was provide a place for all the other hundreds of anglers that may not have a place to be published. So they're certainly welcome to contribute content, and then we also produce content. And it's like what our slogan says, everything bass all the time. That's what we try to do. We're not just targeting tournament fishing. We try to do weekend anglers, family anglers, guys that fish from the bank. We fish ponds, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I can tell you what, Steve, you're doing a great job with it. Keep it up. And folks, if you want to check out that website, you'll learn a lot too. It's bassanglerhq.com. That's bassanglerhq.com. Steve, thanks for spending some time with us today and helping us catch more springtime bass on America Outdoors Radio.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Master Marine in Mount Vernon, Washington specializes in fishing and fun. We offer 7 brands of boats, including Osprey, Sea Sport, Sea Dory, Tomcat, Lund, Weldcraft, and Thunderjet. We also offer Suzuki, Yamaha, and Mercury motors. In other words, no matter what you're fishing for, we've got the boat for you. Drop by Master Marine at 330 East Blackburn Road in Mount Vernon to see what's on the lot, or go online to mastermarine.com. That's mastermarine.com.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run and gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. You'll be back at port by 5 p.m. on a 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are here now, and this is shaping up to be a record summer, so call Captain Carey now at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973 for Offshore Northwest.
Have you wondered where to get your bolt carrier groups and barrels for the AR-15? Maybe you're looking for a quality 9mm bolt carrier. Spinta Precision is your source. Whether you're plinking, target shooting, or running a 3-gun match, Spinta Precision has what you need. Every product is American-made by Patriots for Patriots. Visit us at spintaprecision.com. That's spintaprecision.com for top-quality bolt carriers and barrels.
D.M. Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops, or go to our website at dmbullardleather.com. That's dmbullardleather.com for the best leather you'll ever have.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabycraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabycraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy-gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market, and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabycraft.com.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show April 7th through the 9th at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds, with tons of vendors offering big discounts, a lineup of expert speakers, and a stock trout pond for the kids. This show will be fun for the whole family. Admission is only $6 and kids under 12 are free, so be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show, presented by Puget Sound Anglers Snow King Chapter and sponsored by Three Rivers Marine with support from the TPA Fund of Snohomish County. Find out more at monroesportsmanshow.com.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this segment is sponsored by the Alaska Sporting Journal. It is the monthly publication that covers not just fishing and hunting in Alaska, but also outdoors adventure as well. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of adventures to be had up there. Look for this magazine, the Alaska Sporting Journal, at a newsstand near you. We're headed to Alaska for this segment. We're talking to Diane Borgman. She's with Homer Ocean Charters. Diane, nice to have you back on the show.
Thanks, John. It's great to be back.
So, Diane, we talked, it was about 6 months ago, and I left that conversation feeling like we didn't do justice to everything you have to offer, because you're so much more than a charter service offering fishing. You offer a lot more than that, but we'll start with that, and then we'll go from there. Tell our listeners about what you're offering for anglers out of Homer, Alaska this year.
Yeah, John, we're really excited for another great summer. We did win the Halibut Derby last year, and so we were very excited about that. This summer we'll be running 5 boats for day trips, and we fish for halibut, salmon, rockfish, and any combination of those. We can accommodate one person or up to 18 or 20. We have a variety of size boats and great crew, and we're ready to book people. We've been booking now for about a month and a half or so, and things are looking really good.
So I know every year Homer has a jackpot halibut derby. To get the winning halibut, was it the biggest halibut or was it a tagged halibut? How did that work out?
It was the biggest one. You have to buy a derby ticket to participate. The derby tickets are $10. It's a fundraiser for the Chamber of Commerce. And the winner took away $15,000 last year for that halibut derby. So we tell everybody, don't get on the boat without your derby ticket, because there were a couple of fish that were caught bigger than the one that won, but they didn't have derby tickets. So, you're going to, for $10 investment, it's well worth participating in the derby.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I guess that winner not only paid for his trip, but paid for enough to come back this year too. So you've got the day trips, but you're offering something, well, it's new to me. Maybe it's not new for you. Multi-day trips. Tell our listeners about those.
We have a beautiful 60-foot yacht called the Outer Limits, which has 3 private cabins with private bathrooms. It has a big galley and a salon. And we go out for normally 3 to 5 days. 3 is really the limit. And we take people out. We provide all of their meals, all of their gear, all of their fishing, filleting, and custom cruising. We often see whales along the way, and porpoises and sea otters. And if they fish in July, they can fish for halibut, salmon, lingcod, rockfish, just about everything. And we don't mix and match on those trips. You buy the boat, and we can take anywhere from 2 to 6 people, and it is a great trip.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I've heard of Alaska cruises before, but this sounds like the ultimate Alaska cruise for the fisherman and fisherwoman. It doesn't sound like it gets much better than that. That is really cool. Turning our attention from fishing to hunting, Homer Ocean Charters offers that as well in a very unique way. Vessel-based hunts. Tell us about the hunts you offer for both bear and those Sitka black-tailed deer.
Okay, so our bear hunts are in the spring, and they're a combo bear hunt and halibut fishing trip.
Nice.
And those are out of Homer. And then deer hunts are on the South Island, south end of Kodiak Island, and we use that 60-foot yacht that I was talking about for both of those trips. So on the Kodiak Island one, people get themselves to Kodiak, and then we float plane them to the south end of the island to board the Outer Limits and for a week and deer hunt, and all their meals are provided, their lodging. They don't have to get wet and cold and sleep in tents on the mainland. They've got a beautiful, warm boat to come back to and hot meals every day. So that's a really great way to hunt.
Diane, you're really, really making me want to go hunting with you right now. I'll tell you what, it doesn't sound like it gets much better than that. Okay, so we've got the fishing, we've got the hunting, but some of our listeners like to do other things too, and I guess that's where we need to talk about Otter Cove, because you've got cabins there, you've got opportunities for hiking, and opportunities for kayaking too. Tell our listeners about this.
We have a beautiful site across Kachemak Bay. It's about 5 miles across. We water taxi people over. We have 4 cabins at Otter Cove. We have a kayak guide on site and Necky Sea kayaks, singles and doubles. So folks can go over and stay in the cabins, go on a guided sea kayaking trip, or take the trail into Kachemak Bay State Park to the top of Sadie Knob. When they get up there on a clear day, they can see for miles. They can see the volcanoes. They can see the glaciers. They can see Sadie Cove and Tutka Bay. It's really a beautiful site. It's remote and rustic, so it's not a place where people go back and forth. They go over and stay for several days. There's a cook shack there, a shower house, and then, as I said, the 4 cabins. So it's a beautiful, beautiful site. And then the other opportunity for people who like to hike, we do have water taxi service to most destinations in Kachemak Bay State Park. We can take people over to Glacier Spit, and they can hike to Gruing Glacier. That's a day hike, about 4.5 miles. And if they look on our website, they'll see pictures of the lake and the glacier, and that's a great hike also.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got the entire Alaska experience. One last thing we haven't talked about, wildlife viewing. Obviously, you're going to see whales and porpoises and that sort of thing when you're out fishing. What about, for those that aren't hunting necessarily who want to see bears? Do you offer something for that too?
We work with another company that does that. Those are plane trips across the inlet to Katmai National Park. So, those are great trips. They're not in the Homer area, though, so you have to fly across, and we can arrange that for people. We don't do it ourselves. We do, on our water taxi, we do some wildlife and bird viewing and photo trips. So if people want to come and go to Gull Island, which is a world-famous bird rookery, we can take them across the bay and take them on a little narrated tour around Gull Island and hopefully see about 8 species of birds and usually sea otters also. And when whales are in the bay, we can take people out in the water taxi to see them also.
Stay at Otter Cove in a cabin there. Go hiking, go kayaking, or maybe book a trip for bear viewing or go to Gull Island for bird watching. It's all there. The website, HomerOcean.com. That's Homer, Homer, ocean.com. One more time, HomerOcean.com. Check it out. Book your Alaska adventure now. No matter what you like to do, Diane's got it for you there. Diane, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks so much, John, and we look forward to taking care of some of those people and taking them on their dream vacation. So thanks so much for calling us.
Homer Ocean Charters, offering premium halibut and salmon fishing since 1979 in Homer, Alaska. We also offer kayaking, hiking, remote cabin rentals, and water taxi service to all destinations in Kachemak Bay State Park. Call 907-235-6212 for reservations. That's 907-235-6212. Again, that's 907-235-6212 for Homer Ocean Charters.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit HughesCraft.com.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
It's time to check in again with XL Fishing Charters. The owner, of course, is Tom Burlingame. And Tom, we've been spending a lot of time talking about blackmouth fishing in Marine Area 5, but anglers are starting to look ahead towards the open ocean salmon season this summer. What do you got out there by Neah Bay?
Well, we have 3 options that our season will start maybe as early as June 24th and no later than July 1st.
Good.
And in all three of the options, actually, you'll be able to keep 2 king salmon. And in 2 of the options, you'll also be able to retain coho this year. So we're hoping that is the case. There is one option with a season similar to last season where we could only retain Chinook, but we're hoping to keep some coho also.
Well, it would be nice if we could do a little bit better than last year. And, even if you can't keep the coho, a 2 king limit is plenty enough to keep most anglers interested. And the kings versus the cohos, are we looking at the same time that they're going to be in there through July, or is it the kings first and the coho a little bit later?
Traditionally, the king fishing is better earlier in the month of July, maybe the first 2 weeks of August, and then it gets to be more of a coho show. I'm not saying you can't catch a king later on, but it's more of a coho show after the middle of August.
Now, the pink salmon, the runs are not looking real good, and I understand we don't even know at this point if we're going to have a fishery in the sound for them. But when it comes to the open ocean out there by Neah Bay, are you intercepting some of those pinks as well?
We sure are, and in one of our options, we do have an additional pink in the option. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but it could be that we'll have a 3-fish limit when you come out, and one of them would have to be a pink, but we're unsure of that at this point.
All right. Well, the crystal ball's still a little cloudy, but there is definitely going to be fishing out there in the Pacific Ocean off of Neah Bay, so now is the time to book. The website to do it at is xlfishingcharters.com. That's xlfishingcharters.com. Thanks as always, Tom.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
There's
it.
a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Marine Area 5 near Seacue is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and Excel Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done.
Fish on!
Need a place to stay? Excel Fishing Charters can help you with that too, because they also operate the Inn at Neah Bay. Find out more about fishing with Excel Fishing Charters at excelfishingcharters.com. That's EXCEL fishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly magazine that covers hunting, fishing, and the outdoor scene throughout the great state of California. And speaking of California, we're taking you there now. Our destination is Collins Lake in Northern California. With us here to tell you more about it is the owner of a resort there, Collins Lake Resort, Lincoln Young. Lincoln, welcome to the show.
Hello, John. Nice to talk to you.
So, tell us a little bit, Lincoln, about your resort, especially for those listeners who may not be familiar with what you have to offer, because, boy, it sounds like you've got a lot to offer there.
Well, we are a mid-sized lake in Northern California in the foothills, about an hour and a quarter northeast of Sacramento. We are a 1,600-acre lake and recreation area with about 12 miles of shoreline. And being in the foothills, it's mostly oak trees and some pine trees in the mix around the terrain around here and gentle rolling slopes. But people come here to fish, to relax, to be able to get out of the hectic busyness of the cities, to camp in our RV park or use one of our cabins, and to enjoy the summertime activities of swimming and fishing and that kind of thing.
Sounds like a great vacation to me. Let's talk about the fishing. I know that's why a lot of folks are tuning in today. You've got not only some great trout fishing, but I understand you have the largest private planting program in Northern California at Collins Lake.
We have a huge program here in this mid-sized lake. We bring in plants from our private hatcheries. Some of them are from hatcheries in Oregon, some are Northern California. But we plant 2 to 3 plants a week all spring long, every single week. We start in around mid-February and go in heavily in March, April, and May. And the planting truck is always coming in, always planting more. And unlike many of these private planted lakes, we don't charge a fishing fee here. They just come in and they pay their normal camping or day use fee, and they're able to tap into that kind of fishing. The trout do really well here. It's a deep lake, so once it gets warm in the summer, they will go down deeper water and stay very healthy all summer. But we need to get the planting in the spring before the surface temperature gets too warm to continue to plant them anymore. And then every fall we resume the planting once the surface temperature gets cool enough around mid-October. all the way through Thanksgiving.
Now, I'm imagine you've got a lot of pan-sized trout that people are reeling in, but looking at some of the pictures on your website, you've got some really big trout that are reeled out of that lake too.
Yeah, we oftentimes will see, especially during the springtime, trout in the 4 to 6 to 8 pound range is not uncommon. It's almost a daily, if not weekly, activity. Part of that is the fact that they do stay living here well once they're placed in our lake, given the depth of the lake, to be able to be holdovers and live more than 1 year. And we also bring them in a larger size. The arrangements we have with the hatcheries is to bring us in larger trophy-sized fish in addition to the smaller catchable fish. So they have a chance of catching both with pretty good success.
All right. Well, you're getting me excited. And, folks, if you want to get more excited, there's 2 trout derbies that are taking place this spring. The first one's April 22nd. It's the Team Trout Fun Fishing Derby. Tell our listeners a little bit about that event.
Well, we have several derbies coming in. They're all open to the public. They all can be signed up on the website. They all have very affordable entry prices that come in, plus a lot of pool of prizes to win when they're here. And they're all family-centered. We actually have 3 derbies coming in. One is April 8th, and then the other 2 that you mentioned. But all 3 often will go into some type of organization that is done as a nonprofit fundraising event for the groups in our area.
All right, so 3. I didn't catch the other one on April 8th. So 3 trout fishing derbies coming up in a hurry. April 8th, April 22nd, and May 6th. That last one is a family fishing derby with special prizes for the kids that are participating. And on all these, you don't have to have a boat. You can fish from shore and do quite well, can't you?
Especially in those spring months. The shore fishermen do almost equally well from the trollers. The troller, it's really a question of what technique you enjoy doing. The shore fishermen can just cast lures from the shore or use traditional baits like worms or power bait and do quite well for trout before they go deep. Once the summertime comes and they go deep, they'll need a boat to troll in the deeper water. But during these months in the spring that these derbies are going on, an unskilled person with fishing the shore has a fairly good chance of doing well.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and we're talking with Lincoln Young. He is the owner of Collins Lake Resort, located in Northern California, not far from Sacramento. We've been talking a lot about trout, but that's not the only species of fish you're going to find in Collins Lake. You've got some good bass fishing there, too, don't you?
We do well with bass. Being a foothill lake, the water is warm. The habitat is strong for the native bass population. We do really well with the spotted bass as well as largemouth. We've had spotted bass up over 9 pounds here caught, and many of them in the 5 to 6 to 7 pound range.
Nice.
The water temperatures, the habitat, everything is very conducive for them, so they repropagate very well, and the bass fishermen love it. The chances of catching one that is on the larger size is not uncommon, especially during the later spring of April, May, and June while they're spawning. But then again, later in the middle of the winter, they do quite well also.
I'll tell you what, Lincoln, you were getting me very, very interested in making a road trip down your way to spend a little bit of time at Collins Lake for both the trout and the bass fishing. But in the unlikely event that you want to do something else besides fishing, you've got a bunch of other things to do around there. I understand you've got some mines, you've got some hikes to some really cool waterfalls, and you got a wildlife area right there, too.
Yeah, they're within a half an hour drive. There's lots of hikes to do and things to explore in our area. It's definitely a history-rich area and a beautiful area to be in. Right at the lake itself, we have hiking trails. We have a big sandy beach to go swimming at. People with ski boats can go skiing. We actually do separate a part of the lake away from the skiers, so people that just want to fish and have some solitude, there's an area in the northern channel that they can go to where there's no skiing allowed, so they don't have to be rattled with the ski boats. We have a big playground for the kids. There's lots to do right here on site. And then the Fish and Game in our state owns a large, almost 5,000-acre wildlife area right next to us. There's trails to go back in there, and they do offer hunting of deer and wild turkey and some of the other species at certain areas. It's called the Doherty Hill Wildlife Area.
All right, so it gets even better, folks. You can do a cast and blast trip, or like we were talking about, there's a couple waterfalls you can hike to, and if you're into bird watching, wildlife watching, I'm sure that wildlife area would be good for that as well. And last but not least, let's talk about the resort itself. You've got RV places, you got places for people to camp in tents, you got some cabins, I know you've got boat rentals there too. Any places for people to eat if they don't feel like cooking?
Right in the park itself, we do have a store that has an espresso bar and an ice cream bar and things for treats. But for meals, there's several restaurants within a short drive to get to. Most people that are in the RV park, serve themselves their own camp food. But there is places to go within a short drive that you can get a pizza or a burger or something like that.
And I presume it goes without saying that you've got a good boat launch there and that there is marina space for rent.
We have a big marina to get a slip for the night or by the month, depending on how long people like to do things. We have a whole fleet of rental boats for people that don't have boats to get a little fishing boat or a big party boat to go out on or take a kayak out on the lake type of thing. Other than that, there's fun family activities. We really are a family-centered place. We do outdoor movies under the stars on our beach. We bring in bands to play music once a week on a big deck we have behind the store, this type of thing. We're even doing some paint and sip events this summer just for added activities to celebrate our 50th anniversary of being in business here.
50 years. That is fantastic. And Lincoln, I got to ask, is this a family-owned resort?
It is. Our family has been here 45 of those 50 years. I'm the second generation, and the third generation is actively learning everything they can so they can let me retire one day.
Wow. This sounds absolutely fantastic. Resorts like these are hard to come by anymore. These family resorts that appeal to families, offer great fishing, great time on the water, and lots of other things to do. Sounds like a lot of folks need to head to Northern California and visit your resort. What's the website so people can find out more?
They can go to collinslake.com, and that will be direct access to all the information that we provide. We do our own reservation system. We're not done through some online system, so they can call us directly at 800-286-0576.
All right, and if you didn't get that number, the website again, Collins, common spelling with 2 L's, lake.com. That's collinslake.com. Whether you are into trout fishing or bass fishing or just want to spend some time maybe doing some hunting, some hiking, exploring some mines in the area. By the way, there's a shooting range that's close by too. Or just spending some time out on the water. This is the place to do it. The website, one more time, collinslake.com. Lincoln, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show April 7th through the 9th at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds, with tons of vendors offering big discounts, a lineup of expert speakers, and a stock trout pond for the kids. This show will be fun for the whole family. Admission is only $6 and kids under 12 are free. So be sure to attend the Monroe Sportsman Show, presented by Puget Sound Anglers Snow King Chapter and sponsored by Three Rivers Marine with support from the TPA Fund of Snohomish County. Find out more at monroesportsmanshow.com. Skinner Sights is your source for accurate, durable, and beautiful peep sights for your rifles. These rugged sights have been developed during a lifetime of hunting and shooting in the outdoors. Our sights are handcrafted in Montana and sold for an affordable price. If you need a solid sighting system or innovative gun cases to carry your firearms, please visit us at skinnersights.com. That's skinnersights.com, from the company that aims to please.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
If you're looking for a true trophy elk, you need to head to Saskatchewan and go hunting with Pine Mountain Outfitters. You're guaranteed to have a successful hunt for a trophy bull at Canada's largest game ranch, where all of your needs and comforts will be taken care of, allowing you to bag that wall hanger of a lifetime. Looking for more? Ask about our bison, trophy white-tailed deer, and sheep hunts too. Find out more at PineMountainOutfitters.com. That's PineMountainOutfitters.com for your trophy.
Hi, I'm former Major League relief pitcher Goose Gossage, here to make my most important pitch ever. Join the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and help us protect millions of acres of North America's wildlife habitat.
Visit elkfoundation.org or call 1-800-CALL-ELK.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this Outdoors News segment is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It is the monthly magazine that covers the fishing and hunting scene throughout the greater Pacific Northwest. Look for it at a newsstand near you. We start off with news about the Geico Bassmaster Classic, and if you're from Auburn, Alabama, you've got to be proud because two folks from that neck of the woods nabbed first and second place finishes at Lake Conroe in Texas. The winner of this year's Big Bass Dance that took place last week was Jordan Lee, a 2013 member of the Auburn University fishing team, and he was not even close to being a favorite to win this tournament. Lee proved the bass fishing world wrong, though. According to Bassmaster Media, the 25-year-old pro from Guntersville, Alabama, stayed within striking distance all week at the Bassmaster Classic. Then, during Sunday's final round, he caught 5 bass from Lake Conroe that weighed 27 pounds, 4 ounces, pushing his 3-day total to a tournament best 56 pounds, 10 ounces. Lee earned $300,000 and the most coveted trophy in the sport. Meanwhile, Steve Kennedy, a resident of Auburn, Alabama, and a big Auburn Tigers fan who can often be seen wearing a hat from this fine college, finished second at 55 pounds and 1 ounce. So, how did Lee win? By consistently fishing a hard bottom that he had found during practice on Lake Conroe. Lee actually failed to catch a single fish there in a windy, cloudy day on Friday, but returned to the spot in calmer weather on Saturday, caught a 7.5-pound bass on his very first cast. Better still, according to Lee, when I was landing that fish, there was a whole school of 5 to 6 pounders that came with it. Right then, I knew something was about to happen, and I caught 2 more that were both big. Having said that, Lee still didn't manage a 5 bass limit on Saturday, but the 4 fish he brought to the scales weighed 21 pounds. That moved Lee into 15th place and put him into position to get that 27-pound bag on Sunday that won it all. So there you go. Proof that you don't have to be a favorite, but you do have to be persistent to win big in the fishing world. Next, we can tell you who the World Elk Calling Champion is this year from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. We learned Brian Langley outdueled his friend Corey Jacobson to claim first place in the professional division at the 2017 World Elk Calling Championship that was held in Salt Lake City. Langley is a 3-time champion in the pro division, having also won titles in 2012 and 2013. Langley's family also shined in 2017. That's right, his 2 kids, Mariah Langley and Gavin Langley, they won the Pee Wee division. Who else won? Damian Pagano from Rexburg, Idaho, took the men's division. Lydia Smith from Rigby, Idaho, took first place in the women's division. Hannah Holiday from North Glen, Colorado, was the winner of the voice division. And Jacob Simper from Tooele, Utah, won the youth division. Congratulations to all the winners. I don't know about you, but I'd love to be in the field with them during elk hunting season this year. Finally, whose fault is it when you hit a deer with your car? According to one woman in the Pacific Northwest, it's Bigfoot's fault. From KQQQ Radio in Moscow, Idaho, we have news about a woman who crashed into a deer this month along Highway 95 in North Idaho. The reason? She says Bigfoot chased the deer onto the road. The 50-year-old Idaho woman told a sheriff's deputy she was driving along when she saw a Sasquatch chasing some deer along the road. When she looked into her rearview mirror to see the creature, she hit a doe that ran in front of her car. She told the sheriff's office that Bigfoot was 7 to 8 feet tall. The woman didn't stop. I guess I probably wouldn't either. She kept driving, picked up her husband from work, and drove straight to the sheriff's office to report the incident. A Latah County Sheriff's deputy responded and did find evidence of the crash. However, there's no indication that any evidence of Bigfoot was found at the scene. As to how this is all going to work out with her insurance company, well, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that one. All right, folks, next on America Outdoors Radio, it's time to talk spring turkey hunting, and the person we're going to talk to is my friend Troy Rodakowski. He is an outdoors writer. As a matter of fact, he's got an article coming out in our sponsor magazine, Northwest Sportsman Magazine, about turkey hunting. He's also written for the American Shooting Journal and California Sportsman Magazine. Troy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. It's good to be on.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on, and your timing is perfect because, like I said, if it's April, it's time to think about spring turkey hunting. I thought we'd go ahead and run through some tips for success, so to speak. A lot of folks are going to be heading out there for the opener, and I thought we'd go ahead and talk about tactics to use early in the season versus later in the season, especially in the western United States where temps are still a little bit cool and the hunting might be a little bit different than when it warms up a bit. So let's start off with the opener.
Yeah, this year is different. I mean, we've had winter storms like you wouldn't believe. We've set all kinds of records. The turkeys that live in the mountains out here in the west, they're going to be at lower elevations, so you're going to want to focus down on the lower ag lands, especially in the mountainous regions, northeast Oregon, northeast Washington, southeast Washington. Over here in western Washington, western Oregon, the birds had a rough winter as well over here just because of the amount of rain and the cold weather. So they're going to be found, you're going to want to look where there's more feed for them early on. A lot of the creeks are going to be flowing really high, so anywhere where there's insect hatches, old seeds, or oak patches where there's some leftover acorns or whatever. So you're going to want to focus on areas where these birds can find food and also where they're working their way up the snow lines.
So that's some great advice on where to find them, because that's obviously the key to success is A, you got to find them first. Remember, if you're going to be hunting on private land, now is the time before the season starts to get permission to get on that land and hunt that property. And hopefully you've got some public land that you're finding as well. So now that we've found the birds, let's talk about getting them in range. And I have heard from other guests before that, turkeys, they're not that vocal early in the season, but I've been going on my afternoon walks, and there's a big flock of turkeys in the area where I walk. They're getting pretty darn vocal in a hurry. I'm guessing calling is the way to get them no matter what time of year.
Right. In fact, early on, they're going to respond to calling better early in the season than they will even later. A lot of times these birds get really call shy. Later in the season, they're going to hear, they've heard everything. So early in the season, even if you feel you're not the best turkey caller in the world, if you go out there and you try to mimic, my advice to a first-time turkey hunter or a younger turkey hunter is go out there and just listen. Take the time and listen, and what do you hear? If you hear a hen yelping, yelp back at her the same way. Yelp back with the same cadence. And if you don't sound exactly like a turkey, it's okay. I mean, they're not going to be really picky. If they think it sounds like a turkey, they're going to be curious enough to maybe come within range.
Some calls are easier to use than others. Do you have any recommendations?
The box and slate calls are really easy for people, and then there's, push box calls, the push button that people can produce sounds that are close enough and sound good, of course. And then, once you want to advance into, the reed calls and try that, then that'll give you a more hands-free approach when you're hunting turkeys. But box and slate calls, if you just take a little bit of time of practice before season and, listen to some videos online, you're gonna put yourself in a good spot out there when you're hunting.
Let's talk about getting those turkeys in range. Obviously, you're going to do that by calling them into you. But what is the ideal range for that headshot, and how do you know as a hunter exactly where that range is going to be when you're sitting there up against a tree?
I think it's important that people know their ranges when they're out there hunting. If you do set up some decoys and you are calling and there are birds in the area, take a rangefinder and, check out the distances around you. The ideal range for a turkey kill and an ethical turkey kill is 40 yards or closer. Now, I recommend everybody go out before season, take the time, pattern your gun, and make sure you know what its pattern is at various ranges, 20, 30, 40 yards, so you feel confident when you're sitting out there and waiting for that turkey to come within range.
Any other tips you want to give our listeners so they can have success bagging a gobbler this spring?
I'd just say, plan ahead as much as possible, scout, be patient, learn what the turkey's like, observe turkeys, see what they're doing, see what their patterns are, and listen to what they're saying and try to mimic what they're doing, and you're going to have a pretty good shot at getting one within range and putting some meat in the freezer.
That's outdoors writer Troy Rodakowski arming you with the knowledge you need for success during this spring turkey season. Troy, thanks for joining us again on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for having me, John. It's a great pleasure.
I hope you've enjoyed our show this week. It's about time for us to skedaddle out of the studio and head outside for a little fishing. If you get a chance, download our show with Google Play. Just go to Podbean. That's right, Podbean is the app to go to. Search for America Outdoors Radio, and you'll be listening to us in no time at all. You can also hear us on WRVO Radio. It's an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming. The website for that is RenoViolaOutdoors.com. And of course, don't forget our website too, AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's all for this week. And if you're debating on whether you should go out or stay indoors, get out there. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
So, we've got an old friend with us on the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. It's Jennifer Stahl. She is half of the husband-wife team of Northwest Fishing Guides based out of Everett. And it being the beginning of the year, we need to talk about spring Chinook fishing. It's coming up quick, isn't it, Jen?
It is. It's coming up at the end of March, and we'll be in the lower Columbia River, Klamath area, Longview area.
Looks like it's going to be a decent run this year. It's not going to be a record run by any means, but I think there's going to be lots of opportunity. Let's talk about the limits, and we'll start with the lower part of the river first, where you're going to be fishing. How many fish can you take home?
You can take one home per person per day.
And later, though, as we get into April, you're going to be going above Bonneville Dam. I presume you're going to be doing the drill at Drano.
Yes, we will be doing the Drano 500 along with everybody else, and it's a 2-fish limit up there, end of April into the first couple of weeks of May.
That's a really popular fishery, folks. And again, etiquette is required for that fishery because it's a really tight pool that you're fishing there, and if people don't behave, it's a mess for everybody. But it's so popular because it's so good, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and that's another reason why going with a guide is probably advisable, so that you can learn and see what everybody else is doing, so that you know what the techniques are, so that you do play well with others if you go on your own.
That's right. You don't want to be that guy, you don't want to be that gal that everybody's throwing barbed hooks at with heavy lures. So if you want to book your trip, go to nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net, and do it soon because their trips are filling up. There's not a lot of space, lots of demand. nwfishingguides.net. Jennifer, great to have you back on the air.
Thank you so much, John. Always a pleasure.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and Excel Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not one, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done. Find out more about fishing with Excel Fishing Charters at excelfishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business.